I wouldn't be able to do what I do today and be successful without the support of my family. In the US, you don't really get a clear image of Africa. Everybody wanted to live forever, understanding that you live forever through your actions.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike.
And I go on these really long runs just to exhaust myself. In the movies, in the music, and the news and things like that, it's very distorted.
I'm feeling emotional right now.
Bro, it's heavy, yeah.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we're back. It's a regular episode, but it's not just a regular episode. It's a special regular episode. A friend of over 15 years, guys.
Damn.
Visiting for the first time in over 6 years.
Damn.
One of my best friends in the world. Everybody, please welcome Evan Coleman, visiting from Burkina Faso, West Africa. Give it up.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. On Mars Pod.
Thank you for being here, brother.
Yeah. Let's get it.
So anybody that knows me knows that me and Evan are very close.
Yes.
This is one of my brothers. We've made music together. We've been in school together since 2007. Crazy to think about that. It's almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely you and John Bailey take the cake for the two longest I've known that have been on the pod. I guess I don't know if that's how I said it, if I said it right, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I've known you two for the longest out of everybody that I've had on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very big deal, guys. This is a very big deal. So thank you again for being here, brother.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Evan is visiting us here today. Burkina Faso, West Africa is where he's currently residing.
Yes.
So I want to talk about it, man. There's a lot of things we can cover, but before we get into that, we should definitely give a little bit of history.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think there's
Play that back.
I think there's no other way to start, because that's how a lot of these episodes start, is kind of origin stories of the person. But I think you and I have such a background that we need to touch on, like, all the shit that, because we were very similar.
Oh, yeah. No, it's even crazy. I was just reminded. Jesus. Even before we knew each other, our families have been
Connected.
Yeah. Our
yes.
It's always been this, like, an orbit, you know what I mean, taking place. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It goes even back before school. Our families on both sides, both of my parents, in fact, know
Family members of mine.
Exactly.
Individual relationships that are totally not unrelated.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
With two totally different people.
Yeah, exactly. It's
pretty insane.
Yeah, so if we go in that direction, we'll go. But it's pretty crazy, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, that's enough saying about, like, how deep the roots go.
So we touched on the origins. On to the next chapter.
Yeah. We got limited time here. No, but, like, that's, like, with the family thing, I'm glad that you bring that up, because that's something that's crazy. Like, our family knew each other before we even knew each other. That's crazy.
Right.
Which is insane. But on Mars, we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. That's our whole thing here.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I needed to ask you, while you were here visiting, if you wanted to come on, because you're one of the most inspiring people in my life right now. And it have been for over the last 15 years, man. We've always built things together. We've always inspired each other to become better versions of each other. And it's always been a brother relationship. And I always feel like I've never felt like closer to other friends because we weren't like, I don't know. You felt like a brother, and like even in the family, like it was on both sides. Like I felt like a part of your family, and you felt like a part of my family in a way. So it was pretty cool, man, growing up to have someone like yourself to then go on and then do all the things that you're doing now, and like to be able to grow together, but in our own ways and in our own totally separate lanes. And like you have such like incredible values that like inspire me like every day, bro. And I really appreciate your time. So I just want to put that out there. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
What always, time after time after time, what always is so reassuring is like how close we are and how close you can be to somebody despite regular communication. Or it's not like me and Harry are always communicating. We'll go long stretches, months.
Sometimes
where we don't do anything.
At one point it was years.
Yeah, right. We don't do anything but bullshit. Like maybe send just bullshit to each other, excuse my language, on social media.
Yeah.
Like that's the extent to our relationships. And then immediately when we come back, it's like it was like
no time passed.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. We haven't seen each other for 2 years, haven't spoken in that long. And yet we're back, and it's almost like we just back at it.
For sure, man. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I wrote down. It's like I feel like some of my best friends ever, you being one of the earlier ones, like day ones, as you can call them.
Yeah.
It's
not
like
it's not figurative.
It's like for real, like day ones, and like literally, man. It's like before anything was anything, and it was crazy. Like just kind of thinking about even doing this episode. It's like, bro, it's wild. This is a crazy episode that'll go down in history forever. Yeah. And so yeah, man. No, I appreciate you doing this, man. So I'm excited to get into it though. So let's get it started, bro.
Yeah, let's get going.
So Evan and I, we both grew up in band, like music, skateboarding, playing video games, things like that. So we had mutual friends, and we're in the same school district and everything. So I just kind of want to talk about like early skateboarding days, and like I guess like when you were in 8th grade jazz band. I was telling you the other day. I don't think you remembered this when I told you, but it's crazy. When I was in 7th grade, I'll never forget this. I wanted to start a band, and I played guitar for about maybe 6 months, maybe a year. And I wanted to start a band because I wanted to start trying to do like covers with people. And Evan was in the jazz band in 8th grade, 1 year ahead of me, and he played the drums. So I said, hey, this dude looks like a dope drummer. And
looks cute. Looks like a dope
I didn't know what I was looking at, and you sounded good. You played in time.
That's funny.
And you had a dope fro. Yeah. And you had the glasses.
Had that thing grown out.
So you kind of had like an artist look to you. And
I was Questlove inspired.
Yeah, hell yeah, bro. That's
unknowingly.
If you don't know who Questlove is, I'll put a picture right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So I remember so vividly after the show, I was there for my sister's concert because she was in band. And after the show, she played the trumpet for 1 year.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask what instrument was she playing?
Yeah, she played the trumpet for 1 year.
For 1 year,
so funny. But yeah, so I went to her concert.
Maybe it was too rigorous of a program. It's not made for everybody. A lot of you dropped out. You were talking. It wasn't cool.
We were talking mad shit.
Yeah, and we now we can speak honestly about it. Like you weren't cut out. You just weren't cut out.
Yeah, we're built different.
Yeah, you built different. You couldn't put in the time practicing. You had to be on that shit daily.
Yeah.
You had to do it despite all your friends wanting to go and hang out.
Yeah. No,
exactly. You know.
You're right, man.
So you weren't cut out for it. It wasn't. They tried to back in the day. It was like, no, band isn't cool. Oh.
They tried to say after they drop out because I didn't want to be a band geek.
Yeah, right.
Like,
girl, sure.
You just didn't have the self-discipline to fucking be good at something.
Yeah,
all right.
You were just a regular.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just serious. Do you remember that joke?
Which one?
I'm just serious.
No, where did it come from?
Do you remember that though? Do you remember? You don't remember it at all?
I know I'm just serious, yeah, but I don't remember the reference. That's
John Rice.
Oh, damn. Marching band.
That's deep.
Shout out.
That's a deep cut, dude. I
shout
say
out
that
JR.
all the time. All the time.
I'm just,
and like,
yeah, dude, I'm just serious.
yeah. You're like, I'm just serious.
yeah, that shit was funny. Damn, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Hilarious. But yeah, so
shout out JR.
Yeah, shout out JR. Shout out our boy. I gotta reach out to him sometime.
Much
Have
respect.
him on the pod. Damn, that'd be
Mr.
crazy.
Rice.
Mr. Rice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were marching band, we were in band, and I wanted to start a band with him, and I asked him if he wanted to start a band with me, and he was like, oh yeah, like that'd be sweet. And it was cool because like he was so I guess like supportive of the idea of it without like being like, when do I start type deal. So it wasn't like something that it was like too much, but like I was excited, you were excited at the time, and it was just kind of like I never followed through. So it's kind of like always on me to like never follow up with you, because I felt like I was never confident enough to like make it happen. And then later on I ended up like starting something with Zeke and David Capiello. And then like shortly after that, it was like we were in band in like drumline. And then and it was like
we were really in band together.
And then we were in band together. And then that's when we started basically like
that's when it
the
all
drum
came
line.
together.
Yeah, that's when everything started coming together, bro. So it was like crazy how like the paths that we were in just kind of led us in.
And you called in 7th grade. You called it in 7th grade. That's pretty crazy.
What?
Us being in a band together.
Oh shit! Yeah, I guess
we were. Yeah,
I guess you're
it
right.
might not have been
because,
at the time yours, but you definitely put that. You definitely called that.
Yeah, that was, and it
years
was
in advance.
It was kind of weird that like I didn't even know you, and I like foresaw like us working together musically.
Yeah,
which is crazy because you were one of the first people that I ever made rap music and some of that stuff with, and some of the early mixtapes and
notorious rap group.
Yeah, I mean you're one of like 5 people that were there when we were first making that first mixtape, so it's pretty insane to like to where things are now, and to think about like that's where it started. Yeah, right. Right. Just watching you play the drums, and then I ended up going into drums, and it was just like crazy, bro. So there's just so many parallels that we've had, and like with like skateboarding, that was a big one, huge one. It's like I still remember early days of like skating at Modern, and you and I, we would just be sitting right next to the force there and just watching a session go on.
Watching, and that was the GR legends, probably generally it was like Michigan legends, but the GR legends, they would be there just session. It was things that you dreamed about as a skateboarder from Grand Rapids.
Yep.
You dreamed about moments like that where it was like, damn. And particularly as a skateboarder who wasn't really cutting it, you know what I mean? That's the position.
Because we looked up to them. I mean, realistically, like that was it. Like we were watching them because we were looking up to them. We're like, damn, look at that. Like how the fuck did you do that?
Right.
It's like, damn, that was clean. All that shit. And like I still specifically remember like talking about how they all get stoned.
Yeah, no, that was the first thing that came to my mind too.
It's like that specific moment, bro. It was like 8th grade. I want to say that was like 2008, which is such a wild thing to think about. But that was 2008. And like I hadn't even smoked weed yet. Right. That and what's so funny is that is what we identified as like their common. Yeah. Their commonality. Like all these guys are great and they smoke weed. And they smoke. It's like, damn, that's what needs to happen. Yeah. It's like immediately. If we smoke, make me like Michael. Yeah. Make me like John Todd. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's so funny, bro. Of all the things that we could have possibly picked up on, it was like, nah, that's the one that's giving them that. Because that John Todd would come up and do a kickflip backtail steezy off the fucking half pipe to flat, like onto the little thing, the fucking box. They would move it, and then he would just right away, and his eyes would be like, so cash, like, God damn, how is he so high and so good? And yet, yeah, right. It's really so it was wild, and it was like, hey, if we smoke, maybe we'll have style like that. Yeah, and then exactly. We smoke, and we got worse. For a period of time. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. At this age, I can't smoke and do anything active. Dude, those early days were formative to like, I feel like our friendship You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of like skateboarding sessions that it was beyond just music. It was beyond just like, I don't know, just being friends at school.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Exactly.
It was like a real like big extracurricular that was a huge part of both of our lives.
Right, yeah.
Individually and at the same time together, like filming and shit like that, and going to the parks together all the time together, and like warming up at Byron and shit like that. It's crazy, like how much.
Yeah, a lot of time.
Yeah, man. But we kind of touched on this earlier. Evan is also connected to our boy John Bailey, John Coffee.
Yeah, shout out John. Shout out the real.
Shout out the real. Shout out the real John Coffee. And
yeah, no, and I've known John even longer.
And I was gonna. That's why I wanted to bring him up, because you guys have been skateboarding and filming content together when it was, because we talked about you in John and I's episode, and because we talked about how like that friendship has been so long.
We were skating in my driveway. We had a piece of plywood that there was like a crack in my driveway that we could like put the plywood into so we could roll onto it smooth.
Yeah.
And we put the rail underneath it. And a good friend of ours, Evan, had kick flipped off of it, which at the time was
crazy. Yeah.
No, John is probably one of my longest lasting friends.
Because you guys both in the same elementary school.
Right, exactly. When I had moved, I was raised, I don't know if you know this, but we were raised Catholic, my family. Yeah, my mom, we were raised Catholic. So in that transition, as I guess everybody was understanding things differently and changing denominations, so on, we left the Catholic Church, which also included Catholic school. So we left Catholic school, probably about like I was like in first grade, maybe second grade. And then we went to a different school in Wyoming for a short period of time, and then went to Granville. So I was in Granville by like, I think middle of third grade or something like that. And that's when I met John. John and another friend at the time were like the first two people I had met in that area. So John is like, when I transitioned to what became like the school that I spent, you know, my you know, primary and secondary school in. He was like the first person I met.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was my first friend in this new phase, you know. So yeah, I've known John for a very, very long time. Yeah, it's crazy.
Almost 25-year friendship is crazy, dude. I mean,
yeah.
That's
what about your like your dad? Does your dad still keep in touch with some old friends from his time?
No.
Okay.
He used to, and then unfortunately a few of them passed away.
Okay.
But my dad is old. So,
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
but I bring that up. Maybe your mother. I'd pick the dad, of course, because you know we're men, so it's like we follow that. But it could even be your mom if your mom keeps in touch with people from. It's just interesting to see. My dad. Why I bring that up? My dad even has. My dad has friends that he's known for, you know, 30, 40, 50 years kind of thing like that.
That he still talks to?
Yeah. He still gets on the phone.
Crazy.
He's like, old, you know, they're old school, so they be calling each other and stuff like that. It's like, damn, we just text to send, we bullshit. We don't even.
Yeah, we have a professional skateboarders group on Instagram. It's me, John, and Evan, and we just send memes. And funny shit all day. Yeah, man. I definitely am thankful to have like long-standing friendships like that. You know, like, I mean, shit, like the crew that we used to hang out with, like that's like a 15-year friendship right there. So that's like, that's crazy. Like I've known John like probably around like I think I met him in 7th grade, same year that I met you. Right. So it was crazy because they were already friends with Aiden and Tyler. Mm-hmm. And those are the guys that like kind of like, because they I mean I can bleep that out.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, everybody was going to the same elementary school.
Yeah, everybody's going to the same elementary school. So it's like, it's cool that all of those people are still fucking friends today. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really something. I mean, a couple people, but still like
keep in contact.
Like, core though, a lot of core is still like
intact.
Core, yeah. So I'm like, fuck yeah.
What I was gonna say, what's nice about that is it kind of keeps you in check in a way. Yeah, kind of keeps you in check in a way. It opens up the opportunity to be humbled. otherwise, like if you don't keep people around from back in the day, then you can't reminisce about back in the day when you like you were fucked up and when you were sleeping on the couch and it was all, you know, like, or you were, when you have these, you know, the people who are around when you get successful or you start getting on your role, you know what I mean? They only see you when you kind of established, like we were talking about before, that system. You already kind of established the system and things are churning. The machine is going. You did a lot of the heavy lifting. That circle is not the same as the circle when you was like scared to pick up the pieces and put the shit together and like in a little bit afraid to just envision how you wanted the thing to look. I know exactly those are two different people. So it's nice that when you have the opportunity to be around people who knew you and can remind you of yourself back at that time when you were scared to start, and now the whole shit is going.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's a blessing, because if you lose that core, then it's like sometimes you like lose yourself in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. You
kind of forget where you forget where you came from.
Yeah.
In a way.
Right.
And like that's when people
real.
like,
yeah.
And yeah, it's very real. And I think a lot of people experience that on both sides of like the being the person that is doing that and then the person that has that like, damn, that person changed and like, I don't know them anymore type shit.
Right.
It's just like, that's unfortunate to see for sure. So I'm like grateful to be able to, you know, have a similar friend group for a long time that we can, like you said, like go months or years and not talk regularly and then just pick it right back up when we see each other. It's like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think there's going to be only a few people that we're going to be able to do that with when we're, you know, 40, 50, 60 years old. And it's like to have those relationships would be cool to like families meet each other, kids be friends type shit, like whatever the case may be or whatever it is. And just like doing stuff as an adult later on and like doing it on a different level and like being able to then have the conversations about like the before 4 times. You know, like holy shit. Like, but yeah, so that's again why this is a very legendary episode, guys. You are tuned in to a very exclusive episode of On Mars Pod.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Evan, for being here. Cheers again with the Kirin Ichiban. I'll shout out our import all the way to Mars. Fuck yeah. All right, let's keep it moving.
We can't stress this enough that this was shipped all the way to Mars. We can't, I don't think.
From fucking Japan,
people
guys.
Don't really understand, I don't think, unless you've been here. Like, that's a long trip.
It takes 6 months.
That's a long trip.
Just to get here.
Yeah.
So every guest that I've had on, I have to book it basically like 2 months in advance to plan the 6-month trip to make sure that they have enough time to get back because it takes 6 months to get back. So realistically, every guest that I've had on has to take a whole year off of their. So like any guest that I've ever had, I fucking appreciate all the time that you spent. It means the world just for 2 hours. And then to just fly right back. That's, I mean, realistically, it's everything. So
people really don't understand what goes into this.
Yeah.
They don't understand what goes into this. They take things for granted. It's you know, you really got to step your game up. The standard is high with the On Mars podcast and what goes on. The standard is too high for the rest of you to just be doing this. Go to LA. Nah, you know, that we're finished with that. Yeah. If it's not multi-planetary, then I think you're living in the past, you know.
You said it.
On record. I'll put that, publish that.
Hey, Martians, real quick. I appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch wherever you are in the world. Over the last few months, the Martian family has grown so much. I could not be more thankful for all of my guests and every single one of you who continue to tune in every single week. Subscribers, ratings, likes, and comments all help us grow here on Mars. And it would mean the world. If you haven't already, please go to onmarspod.com/subscribe to subscribe on YouTube. Like and leave a comment, rate us on Spotify. All this good stuff helps keep the engine running to inspire Martians all over the world. P.S. Follow us on Instagram @onmarspod. Okay, let's get back to it.
Sorry. I want to try to talk about some things that make sense. And like I said, I wrote a lot of notes, and I did that on purpose. So I'm going to basically be looking at them sometimes just so I can make sure that we can have like the anchors of the show really pillar it.
Okay.
And something I do want to touch on, we kind of briefly touched on your family a little bit, but I want to talk about your family because from the beginning, you've been very family oriented, as have I. And I think that's another parallel that we share, that you've grown up very close with both your mom and your dad and your sister. And I just want to talk about the importance of and what kind of support that you felt from your parents growing up for instance, the arts, photography, music, and things like that.
My parents are really inspiring to me because of where they've come from, where they come from and what they've been able to accomplish despite, their beginnings.
Can you explain a little bit?
Well, I think that without getting too much into it, because put all my parents' business out there.
No, please don't.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
no, I mean, just like the struggles that they had grown up with at the time that they were, at the time when they were being raised and developing and everything like that, was not easy. And I'm sure your parents probably, have a similar story. Everyone's parents probably, for the most part, a lot of people
different time. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody grows up with particular challenges. So for me, it's inspiring because my parents were not in maybe the most supportive of environments, but they were able to recognize that and then like consciously do different.
For their kids.
Yeah, in the case of me and my two sisters.
Right.
Even if, of course, the way that they did it changed for each of us. Yeah. How you do it the first time and then how you do it the third time, it's not gonna be the same thing. You get what I'm saying?
100%. I mean, so like your oldest sister versus how like you.
Yeah, right. You get better. Just like you're on episode 49 now. Right now, it's like you raised a couple children. You raised 48 children. You're like, nah, I got this in the bag, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So they were able to become aware of, and through reflection on their childhood and so on, become aware of themselves and then try and do things different for us. So they've been consciously so supportive and so loving with, positive affirmations and time. My parents have been divorced for as long as I've been alive. I think they were separated even before I was born. Actually, physically birthed. But they've always been together. Like they sacrificed so much. They might not have liked each other, but they stay together.
For you guys.
Yeah, right. And they have a pretty good relationship despite,
Today, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. They're always, both of them show support for you guys and don't let any type of personal issues that they may or may not have get in between the relationship that they have with you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And even their mutual respect allows them to come together because neither, me and one of my sisters, we don't even live in the state, but they still come together and they still see each other. Right. They'll still go out to eat. They'll still this and that and everything like that. So it's almost like there's a mutual respect for the entirety of the family, that they'll still stick together. Stick together is kind of a weird way of putting it.
It's like the way that people say like stay together for the kids.
Yeah,
it's
right.
They
really stay together for the kids. Yeah, for sure.
Without being like partners.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not a particular way of it looking. You know what I mean? But they for sure stayed together. My parents still stayed together for the kids. My mom still has the family name. She didn't go back to her maiden name or anything like that. Yeah. So even formally, on documentation, it's we still have the same family name.
Yeah, man. I think that's huge, and I kind of want to like bring it back to like because both both of your parents were very supportive of your family going, of your siblings and yourself going into like arts and music.
Oh yeah.
And that was kind of like something that was super important because you had a sister. Was Ashley also in band and stuff?
Ashley was in choir.
Okay.
Yeah, she was in choir.
Both of your sisters were in music classes. So by the time
Yeah.
you were able to do it, you were like, I gotta do it.
Right.
Kind of. Or was that kind of what it was like?
Oh yeah, my parents understood well the importance of extracurricular activities. So all of us did a music, all of us did a sport, and all of us are, artistically inclined. So they always had us, and it would be, I lacked commitment growing up, but they always, and this is another thing that was like, shows support. They were always, I couldn't quit anything, even though I wanted to quit.
They wouldn't let you.
They wouldn't let me. Yeah. They wouldn't let me quit. That's support. You know what I mean?
That's huge. I mean, that's a life lesson that some people never learn.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So,
damn.
Yeah.
That's like small but big, because it's so easy to just be like, oh, like you don't like it, like you don't have to go back.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
exactly.
like, so there is something about to teach you that lesson of like, if you start something, finish it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And also like, yeah, I mean, it's not everything is roses. It's not all sweet. Whenever you do something, if it's not difficult, and people say that all the time,
Totally.
If it's not hard, it's not worth it kind of situation.
Yeah.
Oh, if it's too easy, it's not going to last kind of situations. So I think in a way it teaches, like, just because something isn't good right now, or it makes you uncomfortable or whatever it may be, that's not how it's always going to be. You might be uncomfortable because you're not very good at it.
Yeah.
And if somebody just lets you quit, then it's like you kill a baby in the cradle kind of thing.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, without even letting it try.
Yeah, without it letting it try. Yeah, of course you don't like band because you sound bad. Yeah, you sound bad. You don't like skateboarding because you fall all the time because you're bad. Yeah, but if you quit like that, you never get good at anything.
Right. Yeah. And
even the things you're good at, just naturally, you're bad at them. So how are you gonna let somebody just quit because they started something and they don't like it? Nah. My parents didn't put up with that kind of stuff.
Good. I mean, that's a big life lesson, even for you to like remember now and talk about now, and remember so vividly, like that's something that is now not just a memory, but it's like a principle and value.
Yeah, right.
So it's like something instilled in you that once I start something, like I don't really want to like feel like I can quit.
Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly.
I want to make sure, like, if I do start something, I'm going to finish it, even if it takes me a little longer.
Right.
Or even if it takes me longer than like I want it to, or if it doesn't go the way that I expect it to, or as long as like I don't quit, it's gonna, like, I just gotta see it through type deal. And I think seeing it through is something that a lot of people lack, and finishing things is a lot of like people's downfall majority of the time, especially in creative arts.
Yeah, right.
A lot of us are ridden with fucking even if it's not diagnosed, but like ADD type tendencies.
Yeah,
where it's
definitely.
just like you are short attention spans and kind of like always wanted to do something, but at the same time like having so many things to do. So it's like you're kind of always multitasking and never really getting everything done.
Right.
And that's something that's, even as an adult, if you don't have that, it's even harder.
Oh,
to fucking like.
Oh, right.
Pick that up.
It's you probably develop in it's no shade or whatever, however you want to say it, but you probably just become very flaky.
Yeah.
I would imagine it develops into like a very a flakiness as you adult. I think you would describe an adult in this kind of way.
In an inability to commit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And that can be like huge, like cascading issue when it comes to financial and also with personal relationships.
Oh yeah, right.
Because
that
can, like, lack of commitment and lack of commitment in any sense of this, like the way, like in the two biggest things is work and home,
Mm-hmm.
like lack of commitment in the home, in your relationships, that's going to lead to disaster. Lack of commitment in the workplace, that's going to lead to financial disaster.
Yeah, right.
So it's like you need to have that discipline in like multiple lanes, and those are just 2 lanes of life, you know.
Right.
It's just like in like the lack of commitment trait, I guess, character trait, because that's really what it is. It's character trait. It's like you developed a positive character trait of the ability to see things through to the end.
Yeah, right.
And that's something that like there's probably a crazy stat on how many people like are inclined to start things and not finish them.
Oh,
it's probably insane.
Yeah, right. And I think that stat is probably crazy. I mean, yeah, right.
If they even have the numbers on it, that people that are actually honest with themselves, because a lot of people just like not even be honest about that shit.
Oh yeah, right.
And they just like, I don't know, just try to like, I don't know, act like that was never the case. But
what was it that we were just talking about?
Shit, what were we talking about? Fuck, what were we talking about? Let's rewind. Let's play the tape back for the.
Damn.
Oh, lack of commitment.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And we're back.
Okay. Yeah. And so yes. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna try and bring it back to the topic because we had kind of gone off for a little bit.
Yes.
But so they were very supportive of us doing extracurricular activities. You know, so much so that and with so much support that they wouldn't let us quit. You know what I mean? You had to finish the season. You know what I mean? You signed up to play. If you signed up to run, well, track wasn't really, but for example, you signed up to run track. You don't really, all right, you finished the season.
That's right.
You know, you finish the obligation, what you had said you were going to do. And then damn, yeah, now that I think about it too, it's such an important principle is like it relates to like keeping your word.
Yeah.
And making sure your words and your actions align. You know what I mean? You said you were going to do this, so do it. Yeah. Or don't say anything. Just you know what I mean? Be very choice with your words to make sure that you can be consistent.
Yeah.
So they were very supportive of sports, of music, and other artistic endeavors.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think that's a huge reason why you kept doing it. You know, because a lot of people they do get discouraged and quit before they can even give themselves a chance to love it. Yeah. Because like had you like been kind of shitty at it at the beginning and quit right away, you might not have even ever gone in that direction, and you might be a different person today. Yeah, right. So it's kind of like having you, like, if you signed up for marching band, if you're going to play the drums, you're going to play the drums all the way through. Yeah. You know, you're going to not quit. Yeah. You know, you're going to graduate as a drummer. You know, type shit. Right. You know, exactly. Like, exactly. And you're going to be the section leader in the marching band type shit. You're going to go all the way. Yeah. Like, that was kind of the mindset.
Now, and then, but on the other hand, too, it can, because you can take that action and you make two things of it. So yeah, you're committed to things, but on the same time, and maybe some people could critique that and say that like you become kind of a people pleaser. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You might take on too much. Well, I just think of, for example, you go into a job and you say that you're going to work the job, and then maybe the manager can start taking advantage of you. And because you were raised, you didn't quit. You could be taken advantage of, but you aren't inclined to leave the situation
because you don't want to quit.
Yeah, right, exactly, because you don't want to quit.
Yeah, and I think there is a fine line between like realizing when something's like not healthy or beneficial to you.
Yeah, right.
But if it's something like in the sense of like something that gives you actual joy.
Yeah.
That like maybe sometimes you just have moments of like of failure or of lack of confidence, and it makes you want to quit.
Yeah.
I think that's something you kind of have to like really know about yourself.
Right. Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
realistically, like deep down, like the sports and the band and stuff like that as a kid, these are things that like you really wanted to be good at. So it's not like you were doing them because you really had to. It was like because you wanted to be good at it.
Yeah.
So it's like if you want to be good at it and you want to have like that as a passionate hobby, or even have the ability to like keep doing it and be good at it, really that's it. You kind of just have to keep going. So it's that's the biggest thing, where it's later on in life too, like the people pleasers, if they're in a bad situation, they have to be like very aware. It's like, is this healthy for me mentally? Is this, am I doing this for the wrong reasons? You know, and there's a lot of people that I know personally that have made more money than I've ever touched in my life, and they have left that to scale back because of mental and
peace of mind,
physical like breakdown type shit. Where it's like they're burning the candle at both ends because of this shit, just to try to make a buck, and they kind of like lose their sense of like happiness and self-worth because they're like giving themselves so much to something else or someone else.
They don't know when to stop.
They don't know when to, and that's a people pleaser's mentality of like, I don't want to quit because like I want to make sure that like everything's good, and like I don't want to let them down. It's like a let them down type of deal. And like some people just like put other people's opinions and other people's feelings and other people's finances in front of their own personal well-being, and that's something that's like really fucking, that's a tough pill to swallow. But it's like people have to be really real with themselves and know when to like, I guess I don't want to say like jump ship, but like jump ship when like things aren't fucking like, that's when you're not healthy.
Like when you're doing more than, or like if you're if you stop like it, because you can it would be, I guess in a way, it's like you're not keeping your word. Even then you're not keeping your word, because even if you told yourself, I'm not going to do this, that's your word. But then somebody asks you to do something, and to please them, you go against what you told yourself. You know what I mean? Right, wow. Exactly. And then, so in a way, even a people pleaser may not be consistent.
Right.
You know,
and
what
they're
I mean?
technically, even though they're like doing what other people are telling them to do, they're like going against their own actual beliefs, and that's a red flag.
Yeah, right.
It's like when you're doing something like to please someone rather than to like just like be good at something or like be a part of something and help as a team.
Right.
'Cause I think that's the biggest thing about, if we're talking like jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you're doing it because you have to.
Right. Oh, damn.
That's a red flag.
And that even brings me back to childhood too, because it's like my sister will talk about wanting to be good at sports to please my dad, for example. Maybe people have, maybe you or you know,
I think we've
people
all
in the audience,
things
you know,
like that,
where it's like you feel like you have to, you know,
especially as a kid, you want to impress your parents.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You want them to be proud of you. Really,
right.
It's what it stems from. It's like you want them to be proud of you, and you know that they like XYZ. So you want to show them that like I can be XYZ. I can be X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, right.
You know,
exactly.
Like,
I can do it all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think it does come from a sense of like wanting to just be like I guess like have them be proud of you.
Yeah. Right.
You know. But hey, I needed to touch on your parents because we fucking, like I said, we grew up very close in our families. So it's that's another parallel that like I have my own version of like how close our family was and like how they supported my journey and stuff. So it's so nice to be able to hear the real, like the full origins of like how supportive they really were for you and your sisters, and how they kind of flipped how they raised you guys.
And I think that that support has translated in, you know, in priceless ways now. all that support, like I wouldn't be this person who I'm sitting on Mars pod today as if not for their support. Any ounce of confidence, self-confidence that I have and have developed over time comes from that. Comes from their support and them seeing in me somebody who could do it,
Right.
even if I didn't believe in myself. You know what I mean? So now you got to stick it out, because even though you don't like it, you're good at it and it's good for you. And even if you don't see you're good at it, you'll get good at it. So just stick around, stick it out, do the hard things. And so now I've faced challenges that I'm not sure a lot of people would, if put in a similar situation, be able to overcome. And so I think that I have the ability to do that in a large part because of the support of my parents growing up, and the support that, of course, I still have, today. I wouldn't be able to do what I do today and be successful without the support of my family.
Yeah.
And the support that they have for my, my vision and my mission and everything like that.
Your choices, really.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I wouldn't be here, without that. I wouldn't be like that. No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
It's crazy to think about that, how deep it goes,
Yeah.
like, and it's always been consistent. And I think that's the reason why you are who you are today. And like, you have the values that you have today, and they're they're like pillars in your life. And it's something that you can lean on them very heavily. And it's like, it's really important to have those pillars in your life, because if you don't, then when you're lost, it's hard to find your way again.
Yeah.
So it's like you gotta kind of recenter
Damn.
off those values, and then like that helps you like keep going.
Oh yeah. That right there for me has been like night and day. How transformative that is, to be very clear on your values and your principles, bro. Then you could be anywhere. It doesn't, you could be anywhere. You could literally be on Mars. And I have values and I have principles. You can put me in any context, and then you don't run astray. You know what I mean?
Right.
From yourself.
Exactly.
You don't run astray from yourself. Excuse me. And that at the end of the day is who you're letting down. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you do all that shit, it's like you're letting yourself down.
It's a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? When you say you're not gonna do this thing for your boss who is taking, or a client who's like clearly taking advantage of you, it's like, but then you go and you do it. It's like you're letting yourself down.
Yeah.
It's
a good way to put it.
Yeah,
it's like, even though you think you're doing it to like not please them, it's like you're really just like letting yourself down for like not just like doing it.
Yeah. It goes both ways. Yeah. It goes both ways.
Yeah, man. I'm glad that we brought it up, because that's a very important part of your story. So it's like to have the support and to be able to be who you are today and have those values instilled in you as a kid, to then now take into your 30s and, take you around the world, literally. That's insane.
Yeah.
So real quick, I mean, dude, we're already opening up some deep bags. We got some fucking gems in here. For anyone listening, this is a fucking special episode, man.
Again.
This is crazy.
And we did it again on Mars.
This on Mars, bro. It's so good. So I guess something that I want to talk about, that I just want to ask about, is I always remember, even from when we were like kids, you were always a bit anti-pop culture.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's something that you consciously did in a way of like wanting to make sure that like you're not just gonna like what everyone likes, and like you always had your own, like, if you wanted to do something a different way, you weren't scared to say, I want to do it this way. And you had your own likes. You weren't hive mind mentality. You weren't a people pleaser in that sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, you weren't scared to be an individual, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And even to the point of like of not even getting an iPhone until you were like, what, like 20 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, you
something
were
like
well
that,
out of high
something like
school
that.
by the time you got an iPhone.
Yeah.
So it's like you had flip phones
Yeah.
in like
For a long time.
as a senior in high school
Yeah.
in 2012. Like
Yeah.
that, like some kids had an iPhone like that were in your graduating class, my graduating class. They got iPhones in like 2007
Yeah.
when they came out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and they had them the whole time. And it's like, you got a flip phone in like 10th grade for the first time. It shows some shit, dude. You were always like late to the game when it came to like technology, but like you always somehow made it work, and you always showed up. You always still were like active, and like, you know, in this, like you were like, it never, I guess, hindered you from like being part of the group, because even though you were so, but
the normal
like why,
world.
like I guess not why, but like, was that something that you did super consciously just to like be different, or was it just like something that like as a kid you like grew up just almost like liking different things than everyone, and that was something that you were aware of as a kid? And like, 'cause I'm sure this is something that didn't happen in high school, you know, because you as a kid, maybe in like elementary school, you probably were like trying to do things your own way too.
I think it's funny. Where I think that this stems from, because now as you're kind of recounting all of this, I've had to think like, yeah, what the fuck, where does that come from? I think it comes from my Catholic upbringing.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Why?
I can't.
Why do you think so?
Because, bro, at least with my mom, but I think it's with many Catholics, religious people in general. I'm not necessarily, you know, I'm not gonna go on an anti-religion spiel or something like that. but no,
like generally speaking, like there's like a certain.
My mom was
mindset
My mom was very loyal to the priest and very loyal to the church, and so what the priest and the church said don't do, you know, we more or less didn't do. So on top of the fact that, and I think it's related, my mother in particular, excuse me, Mom, respectfully, was, and no, I can say this now because she's not anymore, and she kind of got computer skills.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, she kind of got some computer skills. I'll be impressed with what she can do nowadays. But no, you know, bro, back in the day, my mom was a technophobe. She was a technophobe. We had dial-up until probably I went off to college. We had the home phone. We didn't have cell phones. We had the home phone. We didn't have cable. So we watched public broadcasting stations. And my parents were divorced. I'd stay with my mom on the weekdays and with my dad on most weekends. He wasn't the case. That wasn't for him. So anything we had technology wise came from my dad. That's how.
Yeah, that's how. Our family.
Yeah. So we only got in contact with what normal kids did. We didn't. It
When
wasn't
you were
like
with your dad.
Yeah, right. I don't want to come off. I'm making a joke. It wasn't like a bizarre religious.
But it is.
household.
But it is something that's like, because you guys lacked technology in the home.
Yeah, right.
On a regular basis,
Bro.
because like 5 days out of 7 you were without technology, and
Yeah.
then like 2 days out of 7 you were with technology. So it's like you got this weird balance.
Exactly.
But like majority was no tech.
Yeah, no, it was no tech, and what we did have, the content that we did have was explicitly religious. The VHS tapes that we watched as kids, all of them, were VeggieTales. It was Bibleman. It was
Bibleman is crazy,
Bibleman,
dude. I remember Bibleman.
Yeah, man. For those who don't know, Batman, but
purple and yellow, and he also is
he's given his life to Christ,
evangelist for Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
He's a
love you, boy.
reborn. Yeah, this is Batman Reborn.
Yes,
is Bibleman.
Bibleman. Yes, I saw him live.
Bibleman in action. You saw the belt?
I saw Bibleman live at Resurrection Life
at
Church.
Res Life Church. Bro, I might have been there at the show.
You were probably there. We probably saw each other at the show.
I completely forgot about that. And this is another reason why it's good to have deep bag family, because I completely forgot that there was a live action Bibleman at Res Life Church.
And it was with lasers and fog, and it was the first time that I ever saw a show like that, and I was like, oh my fucking God.
Dude.
They had lightsabers.
Yeah.
They
that was the sword of the spirit.
They like mixed
Yeah.
Star Wars with Batman and threw Jesus Christ all over it.
And it was
a hit.
I was Bibleman for Halloween.
Oh my God.
And
That's
I
crazy.
guarantee that
where did you buy that?
99% of the audience does not know Bibleman. So I'm
Bro,
telling you,
this
this is who I was. I was, I think one year for Halloween, I was a priest, or I was an altar boy for Halloween. So again, to bring it back, it's no, man, that was my superhero, man. I didn't have. That was my superhero.
To bring
bro.
it back, Bibleman was the shit.
That was my superhero, bro. I'm not playing.
Let's not get too far away from the conversation.
Yeah.
Bibleman was the shit.
Yeah. But it's completely related. So you grow up and that's your Batman.
Right, totally.
Your Batman is Bibleman.
Yeah.
You're
Yo.
going to be on a
Hold on.
different track. You're on a different track than
Have you seen
99%
those
of
things where
the
it's like-
adolescent boys.
You're like, can we have Batman? We have
We
Batman.
have Batman at home. It's 7 VHS tapes of Bibleman. 7.
Oh my God, we have Batman at home.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Bro,
We
and
did.
for anybody that doesn't know Bibleman, I will put pictures of him all over this shit. And
Yeah.
if you see this shit,
And the villains. You got to put the villains up.
God. Oh, we have Batman at home is so fucking funny. Oh, that's a fucking meme for like a 1% of kids
Yeah.
that grew up with that
Yeah.
shit.
That's going to touch a very niche.
Oh God damn it! I gotta
Very
send
niche
that clip
segment
to
of the
John
podcast.
Bailey. Holy shit! Was he was? Did he go to churches and shit? John Bailey?
Yeah.
Was he like-
he went to Res Life.
Okay, because I thought
at least for a period of
because
time.
I'm pretty sure we had a conversation about Bibleman one time. But yeah, that's fucking funny, dude.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
damn it. Let me keep
It's
this
a
moving.
It's a
Oh,
running joke. See,
But
if
that
you
is-
don't keep deep pocket family, then you can't have moments like this where you
Yeah.
can bring up some of the most for your childhood, some of the most embarrassing things. Like if I
that's a
was,
deep cut.
yeah, right, exactly. If you would have told when I was in elementary school, if that would have come out, bro, I would have been devastated. And I don't have the shame. I don't have the shame
Oh my
associated with
God.
them. But some people might have buried that for a long time.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
We might have just unlocked a memory for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that shit was insane.
Because they were suppressing that for sure. No one brings that out to the open.
They don't publicly admit that,
Mm.
not especially not on a podcast.
No, they wouldn't do that.
So, so that was a question about anti-pop culture, Evan.
Yeah.
I want to.
So it's deep. It goes
yeah,
back,
it goes
you know?
deep, and that's a good reason. I mean, all that makes sense.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
like you just kind of never really grew up like with regular cultured things that
Yeah.
everyone else was experiencing on a
Right.
regular basis.
Right.
So,
right.
and that, I mean, that makes sense. But I think that also definitely played into who you became because you focused on a lot of other things and like had different cares than other people. Because
Yeah.
some other kids that were, your age had totally different like hobbies and slash like just, I guess, things that they cared about in general.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of forced you to like be raised a little bit differently, which is definitely ended up making you who you are today.
Exactly. Yeah. yeah.
So, but I wanted to talk about that because it's just funny. I always noticed, I was like, was that conscious like on your part, or like, and then I never thought about like it makes sense. Like it
Then-
was always your family. And like
Yeah.
I thought you were always like, or not. I didn't think you were always, but it's just like I always noticed that like, man, Evan's always so different than everybody else. Like when it
Bro.
comes to that shit, like you were always like choosing to be so different. Like, oh man, it's just so funny. But it was like part of who you were, which
Yeah.
made it like,
But at a
dope,
certain point,
you know?
yeah, I think at a certain point it did become kind of conscious.
yeah, like
You
a
know.
conscious decision to almost be like not hip, but like not following the crowd just because you were wanting to follow the crowd.
Yeah. Right.
Which
right.
is important. I mean,
Right.
that's a very important like hive mind decision whether or not to do it or not, because some people will just adapt and just like conform just to please the people pleaser thing, like they'll go into that, they'll naturally just fall into that role.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to do that. So to be someone who's like for lack of a better term, a trailblazer in a sense, where it's like you make your own path and you don't really care if anyone else is like on that same path, or like you don't care about necessarily having to follow behind someone to make sure that you go through a path that's already been treaded.
Mm-hmm.
If that kind of metaphor makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think again that stems back to like taking that same energy towards everything you ever did after being an adult.
Yeah.
So I guess this kind of starts to get things into where you are today. So you went to MSU. You went to MSU for sustainability. Is that correct? And that was what it kind of started as, for sure. And then what was? I mean, can you explain it a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah. I have a minor in environmental sustainability.
That's right.
Yeah, but I went to Michigan State University. I went to the business school, Eli Broad College of Business. I got a bachelor's of marketing, bachelor's of art. I think it's maybe a science in it there. Yeah. So I get my bachelor's degree in marketing. I have a minor in environmental sustainability. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then while you were at MSU, you made the decision that you wanted to potentially be like a humanitarian-esque type of person, in a way of like going to like Peace Corps and doing those types of activities. And I guess how early was that, and what was the triggering event or events that leaded you to want to take on something like that, even though that wasn't ultimately the end? Like, why was that decision made?
Yeah. Okay. I think that really started from my sister Hannah. I was always kind of following behind her. So she went to MSU, and then I went behind her. When I got into high school and really started getting in with people who skateboarded, and that became more, of my identity. I even more so, the skateboarding definitely, I think, contributes to the rebelliousness. Skateboarding, I think, at least for us, it might not be that way now. I don't know, it's so different now, skateboarding is, but for us it was like a very rebellious counterculture activity. Totally. Still, you know what I mean? Not, for the time. Yeah, once you skateboarded, you didn't do anything else. You know what I mean? You just skateboard. So I had kind of become I don't want to say antisocial, but I was like anti-participative. I didn't want to participate. I just had my skateboarding. I thought that was cool and everything like that. Yeah. But Hannah, so I'm going to university with this mindset. Hannah's already been in the school for 2 years, and she's, pretty different, similar, but pretty different from me. Very engaged in the community, so on and so forth. Right. So she was actually the one that invited me to go to a meeting. It was this called M-Rule. It was a campus community. For it, M-Rule standard for MRULE, the spelling. It standard for multiracial unity living experience. Kind of coming out of, I think, apartheid era politics, global politics, as a program in MSU that was trying to unify different racial groups. You know what I mean?
That went to MSU?
Yeah, that went to MSU, yeah.
Because you guys are very diverse.
Yeah, and Michigan State's pretty, yeah. It's definitely it's a global campus.
Absolutely.
That's a major campus.
It's
a major
Big
university.
10's, yeah, or is it Big Ten?
Yeah, it's in the Big Ten, but that,
but that's a big, that kind of like shows like the scale of the school.
Yeah,
it's like
definitely,
as high as it goes as far as class goes, like that's one of the top tier schools.
Definitely,
it's large as well, so it's prestigious. That's a good way to put it. It's like it is a prestigious school.
Yeah, definitely.
So to be a part of a group like that, then that's what kind of inspired you to learn about the things like that existed, and like trips like that existed and things like that. Is that it?
This group engaged you in real life political, economic, and cultural conversations, like in a roundtable kind of discussion. You'd go to a meeting for like an hour, and everybody who was there would be in a circle, and then they had facilitators, and then there would be a certain topic for the week about some kind of global, political, economic, or cultural event. Yeah, and then everybody would go, and it gave you a space to talk about it. Supposed to be like a safe, quote unquote, space where even if you had controversial points of view or so on, they could be presented and everybody could speak about them. Even the facilitators at times would take controversial points if they saw that everybody there was kind of
devil's advocate.
Right. It's like, but was slavery that bad? Kind of, you know what I mean?
Just to kind of see what they say.
Yeah, right. And to just to make sure that it was a critically thinking rather than just like a what a masturbation off kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
Because if everyone agreed, then it wouldn't be any sort of like
it defeats
growth
the purpose,
or even like thinking about problem solving or how can we do this different or anything, which is the whole point of that.
Exactly.
So then this basically opened your eyes to this existing, and wanting to be in the Peace Corps is something that they offered, or is this kind of like something that, or not be in the Peace Corps, but is this something that like they could potentially get you in the door of doing something like that? Or like, how did you, I guess, think of like wanting to go out and like do that? And is that all just because Hannah did it 100%? Or is it just like what was it for you that like made like, that's your calling now?
Right. That definitely opened the door and expanded my horizons. And then eventually, kind of changed my trajectory completely. It was from those conversations that I began to kind of look at myself, my own family, because it puts you in an interesting situation, because you're talking about things like you could talk about things like, immigration, right. and then your family. You're coming from like you could be coming from like Idaho. Not to talk shit about it. I won't say any,
Idaho.
Yeah, you could be coming from like a very conservative state,
right?
And then when the issue of immigration comes up, it's like, you, of course, share the viewpoints of the family and friends that you're surrounded with,
right.
And then you're challenged, and then on the other hand, you have the views of maybe like your more liberal university or college professors. You know what I mean? You could be depending on where you're coming from.
Right.
But at the same time, it forces you to reflect on yourself. Like, oh man, I learned all this from my family. And so then you start doing self-reflection. Oh, who am I? Why do I think the way that I think? Why are my values the values that I have? And it forces you to look at yourself, look at your family and everything like that. That's at least what it did for me. And so it was that looking inside and looking at my family and the reflection of my family that made me racially conscious.
Racially conscious.
It made me racially conscious in a way that I hadn't been before. Because you're talking about, just because the nature of the conversations that you're having, and I'm reflecting on my family, and then all of a sudden things that were normal I became aware of them. Like subconscious things became conscious. I didn't realize I was biting my fingernails. Now I realize, oh shit, when this happens, I bite my fingernails. So it was like that's why I say I became racially conscious in a different way. Like I knew about my race and my racial identity, but I began looking at it in a different way.
And do you think that was because of your exposure to other people's opinions?
I think it was my exposure to possibly difficult conversations.
Okay.
And engaging in the community that I was in, as opposed to being kind of secluded and and kind of isolating.
So being able to have that collaboration with people that didn't think the same as you necessarily, and like have important conversations about big things.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That kind of made you a little bit more aware into what was instilled in you from the beginning.
Yeah.
And like more conscious of like who you are and what kind of values you have altogether.
Yeah, right. And the values of the two different sides of my family.
Right.
My mother's side of my family, which are European American race and values, and then my father's side, which are African American race and values. I began to look at those things differently.
Right.
Looking
but at
at
the
them,
same time, like it's like what makes you to who you are.
Yeah, right. And so this whole idea of going back to Africa, to kind of skip a couple steps, the whole idea with joining the Peace Corps was to go back to Africa. The reason that I wanted to go back to Africa was because
and when you say back to Africa, you mean go to Africa, back to like the roots of your cultures.
Yeah, right.
Because you never were in Africa.
No.
So it's just like going back to Africa to go back to like the homeland, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, right. It would be like you going back to
Puerto Rico.
To Puerto Rico.
To Mexico. Fuck you, bro.
This is the only
years.
kind of conversation that you can have when you're with a day one. You can make these kind of jokes. I knew it would trigger him. I planned this 10 years ago.
It's going perfectly.
Yeah, everything is going according to plan. And I dropped the Mexico joke at T-minus
check
35 minutes in.
Oh,
dropped the Mexican joke. Check.
That's funny.
No, but it's yeah, like
So
right.
you wanted to go back to like the homeland though, like for lack of a better term, because that is like part of like who you are.
Exactly. And because it became very obvious through these M-Rule conversations and because I became more and more involved in M-Rule, into even taking on a position at the university where I would facilitate the conversations. So I had really taken this quite seriously. So I had, being in the U.S., being raised primarily with my mother, I was quite familiar with Europe and America. Our school system, you're very familiar with Europe by going to the American public school system.
Got it.
You're very familiar with Europe by watching American movies. A lot of the settings are in Europe, or they were. I guess they're doing a little bit more expanding out as they're trying to do more multicultural kind of things. But you're very familiar with Europe, European history, European culture, European values, growing up in the United States and then being raised by my European American mother. And I say that the white mother. I call it European American because white people are from Europe. We don't have to act like that's not the case. And then I call my dad, even though my mother was not. My mother has spent my mother's family is a multi-generational American family. We're German and Irish on that side, but I don't know any family from Germany or Ireland. But that's where they're from, even if they spent. So they're European Americans. Then I knew about Black Americans and I knew about African Americans. I knew the American aspect of it. But being in the U.S., you don't really get a clear image of Africa.
Yeah, very much so.
In the movies, in the music, in the news and things like that, it's very distorted. And I knew that because I was in these because of my involvement
in the group.
I knew that things were different than the way that they were presented. So it became, okay, I know about, and I'm sure you could say the same thing with Europe, but they don't denigrate and and dehumanize Africa in the same way that they do Europe. Europe is glorified.
Absolutely.
So even if you don't get a clear image of Europe, you at least have a positive image of Europe, even though it's propagandized and everything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll present it to you in a certain kind of way.
They don't tell
Even
you.
though
They
it's-
don't tell you everything. Though.
Yeah, and it's not that nice.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
They make
totally.
Paris look like a great place, but Paris is, you know, a
Yeah.
ghetto
I mean, really, like growing up, like you
kind of shit.
you hear about like Christopher Columbus being the fucking guy that did everything.
Yeah, right.
And then
right,
you
right.
don't hear shit about people that were already here, and you don't hear about like African culture that was already established. And it's like you don't learn about any of that, but you hear about fucking hit whatever is fucking
Greece
Saint Marie,
and Rome,
whatever his
yeah,
goddamn
the
ship
different
is.
French and
Yeah.
British. So I just say that to say I'm not. The point isn't that the images are accurate, because we probably get an inaccurate image of
what
Europe.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But at
we
least
weren't
it
even
isn't
shown anything from Africa.
exactly. At least it wasn't malicious.
Right.
The images we have of Africa are downright malicious.
Yeah, and I think it's to that point. I think a lot of people, when they think of Africa, they think of people that aren't living high. They
Bro,
think
they're
of
not.
huts.
Yeah,
they
it's
think
not
of
people.
They
It's
think
barely people.
they think of like a low population.
Mhm.
They think of a lot of like wildlife and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
like
It's
and
always
being unsafe, and it's just
Yeah.
like I feel like that's like generally like, and then there's South Africa.
Yeah, right. And then there's South Africa or Egypt.
Right. And even Egypt is something that not a lot of people know shit about.
Mhm.
I feel like people couldn't even tell you what an Egyptian looks like. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
people would think like Cleopatra.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? But
Another
that's
white
fucking
person.
not even
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's weird that like that's what we've been taught
Yeah.
like as like Americans or whatever. But it's important that you were opened in college to like that type of thinking, to even be curious about your homeland.
Yeah, right.
Because realistically, like you didn't have to go check out. There's probably a lot of people that have African American or African rather in their blood,
Yeah.
and they don't take the time to learn about their own culture
Right.
because they're not fed it.
Right.
You know,
Because
you had to
they've
seek
been
it out.
Yeah, because they've been maliciously misinformed.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
And
a
so
good way
they
to
have
put
a-
it.
They
Damn.
have a negative self-concept, and they have a negative cultural concept.
Of what Africa really is.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so they don't want to associate with it.
Damn,
Is by
that's
and large
heavy.
what it is. Yeah, right. And so again, mainly the desire to go back was to get a clear image
Of your
of Africa.
bloodline.
Yeah, exactly.
like,
Of Africa
right.
and what it means to be an African.
Exactly.
Because if I'm allegedly American, European, and African, the one that I know the least amount of is Africa. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Okay, so I can get these ones pretty easily. Let me go
Mhm.
and see what this one is about.
Yeah. So that was
And
a
get a
conscious
clear
decision
image
at
of it.
that time.
Yeah. I had to go back because I wanted to live. I had to go back and I had to live and see it.
And it wasn't necessarily a matter of like, I need to do it through the Peace Corps. You were just like, I need to get to Africa.
Yeah, right. And then I knew that the Peace Corps gave me
An option,
opportunities.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I guess what ultimately ended up being the case for you to actually get to Africa then? Because then it was before you graduated that you ended up going to Africa first to start working with the school, or was it after you graduated that you were given the opportunity?
It was after graduation. So my application for the Peace Corps.
And this was after MSU graduation, correct?
Yeah, after MSU graduation.
Okay.
Yes. My application for the Peace Corps was rejected for I think I was not legally obligated to reveal certain information, and I did. And my application was rejected.
So do you think you told them too much? He said,
I think
I'm an
so.
addict. I like to drink. I love
said,
to smoke weed.
You know, I have this principle of honesty. So I just went on there and I told them everything from A to Z.
Bro,
And they said, you know what?
the
it's not
only
gonna
things
work.
I can think of, do you smoke? Do you drink? Yes.
Because you have to you have to provide legal record. It's like a job.
Oh, so you had a couple things
and so
on the books.
and that's the thing. I don't think I had a couple things on the books.
Well, then what the fuck?
That's the thing. That's why I said I may have revealed more than, because if you're legally politically incompetent, then you can say too much and incriminate yourself.
Right.
Yeah. And that's a general reminder to everyone back on Earth, is that you can say too much and incriminate yourself.
Yeah. And then he'd be like, wait, whoa, what did you say?
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Exactly.
wait, what did you say? I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I thought you said that.
Right.
You know, it would be like one of those.
So I think
I
I incriminated myself, and then my application got
They're like, yeah,
rejected.
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah. They said,
So,
they said no major drug dealers.
So then, getting to a point where you were given the opportunity to actually go to Africa and check it out with the school.
Yes. Yeah.
That was post MSU.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that come about?
I told a friend I had a very close colleague. She's Dr. Ola.
Shout out.
Ola. We were very close at that time, and I was like, she knew I was trying to go to Peace Corps, and when my application was rejected, she was the first person I told, and I was like, dude,
shit.
I don't know what the fuck I'm about to do.
Yeah.
You know, that was like my game plan. I don't have plans after this. I was
like,
either
shit, that
about
was
to
my it.
Yeah, right, exactly. It was like I had gotten disillusioned with the business school. I had gotten disillusioned with the whole academic process. I had almost become Bibleman in a way. I had just seen so many forces of evil around that I almost felt like I had no choice but to put on the mask. No, but I had become very rebellious. I had become very immature, I think. And so
When you didn't get accepted to the Peace Corps.
No, not when I didn't get accepted to the Peace Corps. I just meant like in my last few years at university.
At university.
Yeah, right. So I was like, I'm not doing business. I'm not doing nothing. Fuck all that. All these.
When you decided I'm going to the Peace Corps anyways, type shit, and like you kind of had that in your mind. So you're like, fuck this. I'm not doing any of this.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I had rejected.
Yeah.
I was only a business student because it was too late for me to change major. And because I had initially not been accepted, and then I had,
Bro, you're speaking to a lot of people right now.
And then I had gotten, and then I had contested the rejection of my application, and then they let me back in after a semester. So I wasn't gonna do all of that.
Oh my god.
And then be like, no, I'm not gonna. I had put in too much time already, so it wasn't like, and it's too expensive. So I was like, all right, I'm sure I can use a business degree at some point in time.
Right.
You know.
So that was when you decided to basically deep dive into African culture, and you decided that that's where you wanted to go, and you wanted to start building, whatever that meant.
Yeah.
And I guess at the time, when was the moment when you actually like started working with who you work now, or who you work with now? When did you actually like start that? Was that also because you went to Howard after and got your master's as well?
That's true.
Did you go straight to Howard right after MSU, or did you have a break?
No, I went from, I had a break. I went from Michigan State. Then to Cameroon. So directly after graduating, that was 2016, I graduated. And then it was the 2016, 2017 academic year. Was it 2017, 2018?
So it was the year after you graduated, or the year, one more year?
Yeah. And no, it was the year after I graduated. That's when I left, or months after I graduated, I guess, that I left for Cameroon with the school. So it was immediately after I graduated from Michigan State that I went.
And this was the African American Academy
Yeah.
in Douala.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So was at the African American Academy.
Was that like a
in
job
Douala.
application that you had to like apply for, or how did you get that opportunity? I guess I missed that if you said that already.
My colleague, Ola, she knew another student who had gone through the African American Academy.
So this
Teach
was
for
the one that
Africa
you were close to,
program.
that you told I didn't make the Peace Corps.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So then she was the one that
She was like,
plugged you.
Yeah, she was like, okay, apply for AAA. I was like, well, all right, what is that? So we looked at the website, and so she put me in touch with somebody, Dr. Caesar, who had gone through the program that I went
Okay.
through, the Teach for Africa program,
Okay.
volunteer program. And so Ola put me in contact with Dr. Caesar. I sent her an email or something like that, and then she basically initiated the process, and then I went through the application through her, and then was eventually transferred to the principal. Yeah.
Damn. So that process happened pretty quickly then.
Yeah. It was a
Once
quick
you got the ball
turnaround.
rolling.
Yeah, it was that's really the thing, is really something to think about. It wasn't a very short amount of time between the Peace Corps not working and
The AAA working out.
that window opening. It was immediately. It was like one door closed, another door open,
That's how it happens.
like a snap. You know.
It was supposed to, and it's funny because it's like life has a funny way of showing you like the path.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
it's like you thought this was the path to Africa.
Yeah.
But no, we're still taking you to Africa.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just gonna be through a different
Right.
way. And trust me, this is gonna be better.
Oh, and it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it has been 100%.
Yeah.
It has been 100%.
So talking about African American Academy, that's something that you started 6 years ago now, almost. Is that right? 5 years and some change.
Yeah. I started working with the African American Academy about 6 years ago.
Yeah. So about 6 years ago, you started in Douala, and you were there for about 4,
3.
3 and some.
I
change.
went there. Okay, so I was living in Cameroon, in Douala, for 2 years. I went back to the U.S., to Howard,
Oh, so you
to get
went
my
back.
master's.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you were working with the African American Academy before you went back to Howard.
Yeah, exactly. I was there for 2 years.
That's
That was
right.
It was in those years that I got straightened out.
At Howard.
No.
Oh, in Africa
at
before
AAA.
you went back
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Howard.
yeah.
So by the time
Exactly.
you went for your master's, you were like a different man.
Oh yeah, completely different. I had completed my application, I think maybe 6 or 7 months before the application process even opened. I had been speaking with the program director and everything like that. I say all that to say, like, I had become very organized enough to the point where more than a year before I was coming back to the US, I already knew how I was going to come back. And
You had a plan in that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had a plan already. Before I wouldn't have had it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a pretty significant period of growth and change in those 2 years.
Wow.
Made that decision that I wanted to stay in education
Mm-hmm.
as an educational professional, but then realized that I didn't technically have any formal qualifications. Yeah, I had been in the school for 2 years, so on paper, I guess I could get a reference and so on and so forth. But I know that at least in the U.S., it doesn't work like that.
You need a degree in
Yeah.
the field. Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. You need some kind of certificate. So I was like, all right, then I'll go back and I'll get my master's
Yeah.
in education. That's how I decided. And there was a mix of that Two, the reason I had chose Howard really was because I was trying to get to DC, because I was trying to open a way for my ex and I
Oh, you sick bastard.
to be in the same place. Yeah.
Hey, man. You did it for love, and it ended up working out for you in a different way.
Yeah, I don't know if I did it for love,
But it was
that
like that was
definitely,
part
that
of it.
love like opened me. I wouldn't have looked at Howard,
Exactly.
and I was like, oh, not okay. So you're telling me I can be in DC
Be with her.
with, yeah, and
And
not say
also-
be with, but like if I go back to Michigan and she's in DC, I definitely can't at least even hang out. We can't even have any type of, even if it's a
Interactions.
friendship, you
Yeah,
know, you can't
100%.
even interact with the person. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, let me,
Go to DC.
yeah, let me see what's available in DC. No, it's really crazy. So I say, let me see what's available in DC. I'm looking at the different schools. I had and it's not like I had visited her before, and so we talked about the possibility of, and I had talked about, okay, I'm trying to go back to school. We had looked at a couple schools because I had actually visited her. She was living here.
So you were dating her while you were in Africa.
We were dating for a period of time that first year. Then we broke up formally, but it wasn't like a clean break. Then after that first year, I came back. We visited with each other and spent some time together in DC. And so that was, I had already was like, all right, I have 2 years in this program. So I got to figure out what I'm doing anyway.
Yeah.
And so we were, of course, we were still talking. So I was like, all right, well, what if I came around this way, so on and so forth. So we had
You had
kind
2
of
years to
entertained
kind of
the
figure it
idea.
out too.
Yeah, right. We had kind of entertained the idea. I was looking at schools in the area, and then of course I saw Howard. And what was so cool is that Howard had the program that I was looking for, and the program director was an expert researcher in the field that I wanted to study.
Wow.
Or how I wanted to shape my study of education. So it was like these two things. It was like, oh, not only is it in DC, so if this thing with old girl
Works
come back
out,
around, then, well, it wouldn't be able to if I wasn't there,
Exactly.
was one. Two, it's Howard.
Yeah. That's
That's an ace.
a huge ace.
Yeah.
That's prestigious.
Yeah.
Like, especially for like people of color.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's a very, very prestigious school.
Yeah. That's top. That's the
Yeah.
top. And then thirdly, the program director is an expert
in the field. Yeah.
in what I want to do.
That's
So it was like,
that's a three
Yeah,
strikes.
right.
Yeah, for sure. That's it. That's all you need.
and so just like it just pieced together like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So finished the second year, went back and moved to DC.
So then when you moved to DC, what was the schedule like with the AAA?
Oh, I was pretty much just doing academic projects with them.
So like on a remote basis?
Yeah. So I was just doing academic projects with them, doing a little bit of orientation and training.
You didn't like stop working with them when you went to Howard necessarily?
No, technically my contract ended,
Okay.
but pretty much everything I was doing related to my academic program
Got
was
it.
for the school.
Right. So you were, I mean, realistically, you were going to Howard to be able to be better at your job in Africa anyways. So everything was really tied back to the African school anyways.
Yeah.
Damn.
Exactly.
Okay. So at that point then, that's when it was still in Douala though. The academy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh,
because then you guys got the new campus in Burkina Faso.
yeah.
And
that
when
one
did that
came,
happen?
That one came the same. We moved to Burkina Faso the same year I started. We opened the Burkina Faso campus, if I remember correctly, the same year I started in Douala.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you just weren't active in it yet necessarily?
Right. Yeah, I was doing everything in Douala.
Right, you hadn't moved officially.
I had not.
Right.
No.
Your like, I guess I want to say like branch, but like your like what you were doing on a day-to-day was still headquartered in Douala.
Yeah. exactly.
But now
exactly.
everything is in Burkina Faso. Is that correct for that school?
Yeah. I would say about 95% of what I do is that, and then like a small percent is somebody over in Cameroon needs something, and then they'll ask.
But it's
me
all
or
like
something
remote stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you never actually go back to Douala to do anything for the school necessarily.
I have not been back to Douala to do anything for this. I have not been back to Douala, no. But there's a possibility that I get put on an assignment and I have to
For
go
sure,
back.
because you guys still have facilities out there. Then
Oh yeah, the school is still operational. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just this is just the new flagship location.
Yeah, this is- yeah,
like
exactly.
the big one.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay,
The flagship. That's exactly what it is.
nice, very
Yeah.
good.
hmm
Damn, man. So you've been in Burkina Faso for the last 2
2 years.
years.
Yeah,
God damn.
just finished my second year. Yep, coming into my third when I go back at the end of the month.
Man, so I guess since we're talking about the African American Academy, let's just like for the people that don't know, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that have no fucking idea what we're talking about. Let's kind of explain what is the African American Academy, what kind of grades you guys do, what's like subjects, what does your day to day look like, what do you do?
Okay. Yeah, the African American Academy is a K through 12 American international school. We have headquarters in Houston, Texas. We have headquarters in Johannesburg, South Africa, and then we have we have 2 operational campuses, but we have 3, I guess, 3 continental sites. We have one in South Africa.
Okay.
We have one in Cameroon, one in Burkina Faso.
Oh, so they're all in Africa.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Very nice.
Yeah.
So it's a private school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and when you started there, you were just a teacher. Is that correct? Or what did you start there as, I guess? Because you've grown so much with that company that like you wear a lot of hats now.
Yeah.
And it might have been like that from the beginning, but like what did you like come in as entry level, and like how did you I guess scale within the group, and like what is your responsibilities on a day to day?
Bro, it was so funny because when I landed in Douala, I was picked up by the chairman of the school and his son, who also works in the school.
Okay.
And I get picked up. I've never worked an actual job. I mean, I've been working since I was 14.
Right.
Yeah, but I've never had like a career or like a profession.
Corporate.
You
That's
know
a
what
good way to put it.
Because I guess Wendy's is a corporation, Texas Roadhouse is a corporation.
Yeah, but it's not like an
The
office job. Like an
Yeah,
office
right.
job.
Like
a
I had
corporate office job.
like a legitimate job.
Yeah,
You know,
totally. I know.
Yeah, I don't want to even say a legitimate job because
It's funny.
it's offensive. Then it was saying like, oh, when I
Those
was working
are-
at Wendy's, that wasn't a legitimate. When I was busting tables, that wasn't a legitimate job. When I had the paper out, that wasn't a legitimate job.
Yeah,
that was a legitimate job.
I know what you
You
mean.
get what I'm
Yeah,
talking
for
about.
sure.
It was like one related to a postgraduate profession.
Career is a good way to put it. Too.
Yeah.
Career position, and that's a totally different experience.
However,
Yes.
politically incorrect we want to be. But and so I had this is my first job coming out of college, and I'm in the car in a completely different country, mind you. I'm in a completely different country, completely
For the
different
very
continent.
first time.
Yeah, and then the chairman is like, "You have any managerial experience?" And I was like, "Yeah, I managed the Sparties."
Right. That gift shop. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
the convenience stores and the dormitories. Yeah, I became a manager there. I was like, yeah, I've been a manager at a convenience store. And he's like, okay, you'll be the administrator. Management principles are pretty much the same.
Very good.
No, but that's crazy because you're the administrator of a school, and the most that you've been is a manager at a convenience store.
Right.
So it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's not what I was expecting to do. That's not what I was
So
expecting
you
to
were
do.
like, you were going into
This
this
is
feeling like I'm very underqualified.
This is a teach for
Yes.
Africa. So I'm like, oh, I'm about to teach, and then he's like, oh, you've been a manager. Okay, you'll be the
manager of
administrator.
Sparties?
Yeah,
Perfect.
right. Yeah,
Here
right.
you go.
Exactly.
Here's the keys.
Yeah, right. Yes. And so so right off
Perfect.
the
What
jump,
can go wrong? What
yeah,
can go
right,
wrong?
exactly. So
That's pretty. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility to kind of take on, like after not feeling like you're qualified.
oh yeah, definitely.
So
And-
that probably forced you to change your mindset a little bit.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. And this is not just this is like a prestigious prestigious academy.
No, exactly.
You know
No,
what I mean?
You're representing like African American Academy. Like
Yeah.
that's a very big deal.
Yeah, this is a prestigious academy.
Yeah.
And so it the standards are very high. The leadership of the school is no nonsense. And so
Wow. So you had to step up to the plate.
oh yeah,
If you were to
I was
accept the
demoted.
position,
Yeah.
you were demoted.
I got demoted, yeah, pretty quickly. I was not able to. I got demoted pretty quickly. I was the administrator, and I think within the first couple of weeks, I thought I was going to get fired. I just lost that position, and then I became the student advisor. Yeah, I became a student advisor.
Brother.
Yeah, no, so I
This
got.
is such a Cinderella story, bro.
Yeah.
You fucking were at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you-
no, I was not. I was not. They didn't make me like. I wasn't. I didn't become the janitor or anything. No, I just lost that
I don't
position.
know, dude. I don't know. Did you, dude? I don't know.
So
Sounds like
I kind
you
of
said
did.
you got demoted, bro.
Yeah, no, I
don't
got
know.
demoted. I
They're
lost
like,
that
this
position for sure.
motherfucker
Yeah.
lied his
yeah,
ass off.
right. Exactly. So he lied all over that.
It's like, but we can't let him go. He does good work, so we got to put him.
It was too much of an investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
brought-
then try to bring somebody else.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We already got him. Just
It's difficult,
student advisor. Let's.
which is an excellent position. I was able to, but that was, I think, the second time.
Funny shit ever.
That was, I think, a second major failure in my life.
Hey, well, I mean, that's like a failure, like a setback that like led to a lot of growth because it set you back, but it's almost like we have said in the past and like conversations that we've had while you're here is like having like humbling experiences to show you that like you can't just be good at everything right off top.
Yeah, right.
Where it's like that's a clear example of that. Where it's just like you can't jump into something that you're not necessarily qualified to do and think you're gonna be an ace at it.
Yeah, definitely not.
And sometimes like you need to have like a check of like being demoted to like really be able to like understand like, okay, maybe I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, right,
you know?
right. Like a reality check.
Yeah. And then when you did get to the student advisor position, you're like, I'm gonna fucking crush this.
Oh yeah.
And then that allowed you to grow back into where you are now.
Yeah, definitely. Those 2 periods, I think, that stuff, like you said, it's important to have those checks.
Yeah.
It's important to have those checks. Those are
Keeps
kind
you
of like,
humble for sure.
yeah, and those are kind of like make you situations.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to put it.
You know?
Where it's like it makes you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like those types of hard decisions. Because that's like a hard decision to make, whether or not to like keep going. Especially if you're not good at it right away.
Yeah.
It's very easy to like be like, okay, well, I thought this was the path, but clearly
Right.
this isn't it.
And with education, it's a
Back
bit
to that
different.
I was gonna say back to the principle and value that your parents instilled to you.
Yeah. Oh
You're
yeah,
like,
exactly.
can't quit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, damn.
It's
Yeah,
like-
this is a nice theme.
Yeah, it's definitely the theme of the episode. It's
Yeah.
like not giving up.
Yeah, right. And,
Even when the things get hard and life is telling you
you're telling yourself.
well, you're telling yourself, but then life telling you like demoting you, that's like a degrading thing.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's definitely
so that's
a kick
like
down.
something that could like easily kick you out right off the path.
Yeah, right.
So it's like you could have seen that as a failure and totally dipped and taken
Yeah.
it very personally.
Yeah, that's right.
And seeing it as a failure, but like you literally did the opposite and
Mhm.
saw it as an opportunity to get really, really good at what they did put you in.
yeah,
And then that allowed you to really grow into, like I said, where you are now in the company being as high as you are.
right.
God
Exactly.
damn, bro. I mean, that's a clear like reason why like the things that you're taught and that you grow up with and the values that are instilled in those first like 15 years of your life,
Yeah.
I feel like are so fucking important.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah,
then now
it
I'm
touches
30 years
again.
old. You
Yeah.
wouldn't be who you are had you not had those values. You would have quit so long ago.
Oh no, and that's not even the worst part, bro. It would get really, really bad, man. It would get really, really bad.
In what way?
Just like The mental games, bro.
Oh,
The mental games would get crazy. Because again, I left everything.
you did.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you went farther than anybody I've ever known to a different continent.
Right. So I leave the place and everything is different about it. Everything is different about it. Even to the point where it's like, I mean, depending on where you're from and who you surround yourself with, not even, no, you just look at the countries, your states, population demographics. It's even to the level where you're going from a place where people are majority white to people are vast majority black.
Wow.
It's a deep change like that. You would be surprised how that's different. Another thing, how much that impresses you. You take a lot for granted. You take a lot for granted when people are a certain way or look a certain way, and then you completely switch how everybody around you looks.
And how everybody else acts.
Acts too, yeah, exactly. And then there's like language aspects. You can go into an unfamiliar place and sit down and you don't know anybody, you're not sure where you are, but you can sit quietly and listen to what people are talking about.
Yeah.
And you can understand the things that they're saying. Oh, this lady's cousin has a wedding. This person is trying to get ice cream with this girl.
Right. Without
your
necessarily
dog.
understanding
Yeah.
everything.
Right. You at least listen to the conversation around you. You can eavesdrop and you can see what's going on. On the other hand, where I had moved to, that wasn't possible. You go into a completely crowded place and everybody around you is talking and you don't know what people are saying.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're like completely alienated. So you can move across the country, for example,
Right.
and everything might change. There's no more Meyer. There's no more, everything you're familiar with from being from Michigan is gone. But at least there you can still ask like, yo, where's the local bar? Kind of thing like that. And then you go to the local, then the guy's like at the gas station is like, oh no, just go around that way. The local bar is right over there. And then you're like, all right, bet. And then you go over to the local bar and you sit at the bar and then you strike up a conversation with the bartender. And then you strike up a conversation with the man or woman who's next to you. And then who knows, then you start playing pool with somebody, and although you're in a completely different place, you're able to speak the same language as the people. So you're not that far. On the other hand, it's not the same way.
In Africa.
Yeah. And in this place, well, you can go to like East Africa, you go to Ghana or something like that. People are speaking English. In Cameroon, majority, technically it's a bilingual country, bilingual foreign country. French, majority of people are speaking French. In Douala, in Cameroon, but in Douala in particular. So everybody's speaking French. We don't speak French over here. We don't learn French over here. We learn a little bit of Spanish.
That's right.
America. Right. Yeah. America. we learn a little bit of Spanish over here, but over there. So all I'm saying is like it can get very isolating being in an environment like that. It can be very isolating.
So there's a lot of that's a big mental game. Yeah.
It's a big mental game. It would get to the point I had maybe you call it a depression, but I had gone into a place where it was like what was keeping me was staying busy, and it turned into like my least favorite days were Sundays because on Sundays there wasn't work, or the school wasn't open on Sunday, so Sunday was the day that was like it was slow enough to where all my shit would weigh on me.
Damn.
Yeah, it's very heavy.
It is.
It would get to the point where it was like I couldn't sleep on Sundays. So I would wake up very early in the morning and I would go on these, I couldn't sleep maybe by like 3 or 4 in the morning. So I would wake up and I'd go on these really long runs, like crazy long runs, just to exhaust myself. But that was my Sunday, like my day off. My day off was my worst day, because things slowed down to the point where I was like, oh shit, my family's gone, my girl's gone, I can't even go out and find another girl because I can't even talk to them. Like, you know what I mean? And excuse me. Yeah, so just to say again, that pain had gotten so deep, but still that value and that principle that was instilled in me from my childhood of sticking things through despite the challenges, it was deeper, you know? And so I was able to keep going despite all of those challenges that were being faced, you know?
Dude, I'm feeling emotional right now.
Bro, it's heavy, yeah.
Damn, bro. This is the first time I ever cried on the pod. Fuck. That's heavy, dude. You gotta be strong.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing. That's why it's important. You gotta have kids, and then you have to make sure that they stay in their sports despite the fact that they're bad and they want to quit.
Yeah.
Keep them on the sports team. Make sure that they play their trumpet. Make sure that they do all that shit because they have the opportunity. You don't get the choice as the parent. You don't get the choice how the child takes your lesson. You try and teach a lesson, the rest is out of your control. But you still want to teach the lesson so that your child has the opportunity to take a positive experience out of it.
Wow. Damn, dude. Holy shit. It's crazy because it's like, again, like I relate to you on such like crazy levels, and it's like for you to
that shit.
Yeah, but it's like, but you did it on like such a crazy level, dude, to like, so because I've been there, bro, like, but like I'm 2,000 miles away, you know, you're like fucking in a whole different continent, dog. So it's like that takes a lot of strength, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so inspiring because that's the type of shit that I talk about where it's like I take so much inspiration from those values that you are so like confident and true to.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, this motherfucker went to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm stressing about like shit going bad in Arizona. Like he gave up everything for real, you know, and like started a whole new life. Like, I mean, Arizona is far from Michigan, but like,
yeah. It's across a big country.
But it's still the United States.
It's still the US. Yeah.
So it's a very comfortable transition if you compare it to transitioning to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like that. I know what it takes to be like transitioned to another or to another city in America, but like like it probably takes a whole nother layer of like what I had to go through mentally to get through what you went through mentally, and like that was like crazy. Like when you said that, it's just kind of like that you took your days off to exhaust yourself to escape the pain.
Yeah, right.
Of
yeah,
being alone. That's what hit me.
That shit was fucked up,
and it was just
bro.
like, that's what I was like, bro. That's like some sort of like mental like game that you have to really be like, you have to be in control of, or otherwise it could literally take you out. Like in the worst way, and like that can really derail everything. And I'm so glad that like you have the mindset that you have, that you were able to like take that as like a fucking like a win, bro. Like you were like almost like, I'm not letting this defeat me.
Yeah.
Even though this is tough and I don't feel like good about this, and I gave up everything, and I don't have a girl, I don't have my family, I don't have anyone, everything's going bad. It's like the value of like seeing things through and like becoming a better version of yourself through this low point.
Yeah.
That's like ultimately what you had to overcome. And like that was like everything. And it's like usually the best version of yourself is on the other side of the hardest challenge you've ever faced.
Bro, that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what that is. That's exactly what that is. Yeah, you come out of that, going through that fire, you come out of that, on just as a completely different person. It's like I didn't watch it too much, but the thing that it makes me think of is like in like Game of Thrones, when the dragon queen gets hit with the fire blast, or like she gets like toasted or whatever. Well, it was like,
I didn't watch Game of Thrones.
oh, nah, okay. All I'm saying is it was like she gets hit with the fire,
Okay.
doesn't burn up because this is her bloodline. Like,
Wait, so
she's
she
like,
doesn't burn up because she's like immune to burning up?
yeah, she's like the dragon queen. She's like the
Okay.
queen of the dragons. Her
Yes.
bloodline is like these dragon tamers.
Okay.
And so, and I could be wrong because again, I didn't really watch the show. I read a couple of the books, but even if this is fake, I think the principle that could be making this up completely.
Yo, this might be bullshit. Go on.
What it makes me think, okay, is like she gets hit. The moment for her is like she gets hit with the fire from one of the dragons or something like that, or she walks into a fire. But basically, it's that point where she like comes out that fire, and that's when it sets in on her. It's like, oh no, it's really me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's like, oh, all that stuff I thought about who I am and like how the distance I can go and stuff like that. A lot of the times we could just be talking ourselves up. You know what I mean? But then either way, even if you are just talking yourself up, regardless, you take on that challenge and it's like you getting hit with that fire. And
It's
then
kind of like puts it right here.
yeah, right. You get hit with that fire and then you come out and you're like, oh no, I tamed that shit. Oh, that's what it is. You feel me?
100%.
You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
That's me. You know what I mean?
Dude.
So that's why it made me think of that Game of Thrones reference, which again could be fake.
No, and I like the metaphor regardless of if it's like if it's real or not, because like the idea of like when something like a hard challenge that on the other side of it will make you a better version of yourself.
Mhm.
A lot of times it presents itself to you in a way of like the same way of like if you had something like just right in front of your face and you couldn't like get around it, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Where it almost like it forces you to like have it be here, and the only way to like see through it is to get through it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's like a block where it's like it puts it up here, and it's like if you want to see this the way that you used to, you got to like clear this block. And it's like it's up to you to get through that block, otherwise like you'll never see clearly again.
Yeah, right.
You do that so well, and it's like,
Thank you.
yeah, man. So I just feel like, and especially because people don't really see you online. You're like you're anti pop culture, so it's like you're not gonna be telling people about yourself unless you're asked about it on a public platform. So it's like I'm so happy to, and I explained this to you before we started, like that we were able to do this because this is a totally different type of episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why
what I mean.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't sure. Like leading up to the trip, I was like, damn, On Mars is it's like has a particular audience. You know what I mean? And the guests, I was like, I don't know if I fit in like that. You know what I mean?
No, dude, this is beautiful, man.
What's so nice, man? What's really so beautiful about the community that you're part of and the friends that you keep around is that I sometimes forget that my creativity, and it's so nice to be around you and the boys on this side because you all are so creative and you're all very productive. You're producing things, like doing things, and it's nice to be back and be part of that, because then it like puts me back into a position. It's like, oh wait, no, I'm not that different. You know what I mean? I'm not that different from the guests that come on the show.
Mm-hmm,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not like this uncreative, kind of like rigid kind of guy. You know what I mean? No. And you create a creative environment. You live and breathe an environment that allows you to produce and be creative at a very high level. So then I come into that, and then it just reminds me again of like, oh no, I do have this muscle to flex. You know what I mean?
That's right, bro.
Yeah, it's like
That's
I
right.
do have that muscle. And so it's nice that you've been very meticulous in the way that you've created your environment and the people that you've surrounded yourself with, because then people can come in and tap into that part of themselves that their day to day, it doesn't get exercised like that.
Exactly, man. And I appreciate those kind words so much, because it was like it was something that I when I first started this pod, I wrote out a list, and it was like 50 plus people that I wanted to get on the pod eventually, and you were on the list.
Oh, nice! I got right on the 50.
You were on the 50.
Damn near on the 50,
dude.
Yeah, and we made it actually happen.
Within the 50.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Damn, that is pretty crazy. But so you were on the list, and I didn't know how I was gonna make it happen. I was like, I assumed that it would be something like me going out to Michigan and like just a spur of the moment type of deal, and like I figured like we'll make it happen when it happens, however it happens. And it was like I didn't really know what I wanted to necessarily even talk about, but I knew that like whatever we ended up doing on the pod, it was going to be very, very good. And just because of our history and like the way that we communicate. And I feel like when we started like organizing this trip, it was one of those things where it kind of like immediately I was like, maybe I should have him on the pod. But like I told you earlier, I was like, I don't know if he's gonna do it, because I thought you would be nervous and like not want to put yourself out there.
For sure.
Because I've had a lot of people that are like that would be really good guests, but they've told me straight up I can't do it because like I'm like too nervous. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. And like I totally get it. But it's like and I wouldn't have been like mad if you would have said that, because I know you don't like to put your business out there like that.
No.
So I'm just like so happy that we were able to actually make it happen and to be able to have like this conversation. I feel like this was a really important conversation for me to have, and also for like anyone listening. Like I think there's a lot of things that people can take principles and values from this and apply to their own life and become better versions of themselves, which at the end of the day, that's what the fuck I did this show for, because this podcast is a actual documentation of me becoming a better version of myself every single episode. So it's just like it's such a long standing thing that like I want to like, that's the point of this shit. It's like all I want to do is inspire people to become better versions of themselves by showing you that we are becoming better versions of ourselves every single fucking day.
Bro, that's this whole school thing. That's like education. That's like being around children and stuff like that. That's exactly how I see it. It's like, let me do my best to be a good model.
Right. Show you by example.
Yeah, right. And then that even goes back to what we were talking about, our actions and our words being aligned. You know what I mean? But that's exactly what it is. Yeah. How can it, and it works both ways. People are like, oh, isn't it self-gratifying and things like that? Yeah, it is self-gratifying, but that's how it works. You know what I mean? You're in relationship with other people. So, and everything has allegedly, I don't want to say allegedly, but the law they claim is that everything has an equal and everything has you're right. There's reciprocity.
Right. That's the law. Yeah.
So yeah, of course you could do something good and it feels good for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's supposed to be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's supposed to be like that.
And that's what that is. It's like that's doing good and feeling good about it at the same time. Yeah, and that's a good thing to have. It's like, yeah, I feel like we could go for so long, and I hate that we need to like wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far with it, but something that we talked about recently that I think is important, and I just want to bring attention to it. That it's something that I admire about you as well, is your ability to be centered and to be basically very like still mentally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that goes back to the principle and value of like finishing things and kind of like, even though it is like not like that's kind of general, it's like that idea of when you're doing something, put the patience and time into doing it right.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's worth it.
Yeah,
And I
right.
think that's something that like you're very good at, that as being like still and present, and that's an important character trait that I feel like also plays into who you are.
Yeah,
For
right.
sure.
It's like you can't build a good building without a solid foundation.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure, that you're patient and taking the time to lay things without cutting corners.
Yeah.
We cut so many corners. That's one thing that I'm realizing as I'm getting older. Like all of a lot of my shortcomings are because I'm cutting corners. Yeah, you want to come up short on something, cut a corner.
Right.
You'll for sure come up short on something. If I just did things right, and I took the time and I did it fully, then I wouldn't come up short.
You're gonna get a better result.
Yeah,
every time.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's something that I'm realizing. It's like, all right, take the time and do things right. Stop trying to cut corners.
Yeah. And so this is something that you're very conscious about.
Yeah, more so now. Yeah,
Yeah.
particularly in the last probably going to Burkina Faso, I think started a new phase. Started a new phase, like a new birth and growth phase.
That probably came with new responsibilities and things
Exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
100%.
And so it allowed me to see that part.
Yeah.
If you're gonna build something, you can't cut corners.
Yeah, that's huge. If you want to build something with a good foundation,
Yeah,
you can't
right.
cut corners.
If
If you want it to be long standing for 20, 30, 40, 50 years plus, like for
Right,
the rest
yeah.
of my life.
eternity.
Yeah, eternity. Yeah, realistically, because what you build is gonna live on forever.
Yeah, right.
And that's like realistically, like that's it. Like
Mhm.
whatever you leave, the impact that you leave on this earth after you are gone.
Yeah.
If you made a big impact, that impact will last forever and ever and ever and ever. And I
Right.
think that's something that a lot of people forget, and they almost like forget that you are still a person that can make an impact.
Yeah.
Even though we feel very small sometimes, and it's very easy to feel like you're inadequate and not enough and can't make a difference, you 100% can. Anybody listening to this,
Mhm.
I hate getting all preachy like that, but it's like, it's fucking fundamental, man.
Yeah, it's important.
It's important, and it's a fundamental like aspect to being a confident human being that can make fucking change. And that those are the people that make change. The people that know that it can happen, and the people that put the time in and the effort to do it, even if that doesn't necessarily benefit them 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of the times it's not going to benefit them 100% of the time. It's like it's usually going to be a lot of sacrifice that goes into it.
Yeah. One of my mentors talks about it's like you're planting seeds for shade that your children
There you go.
will relax in.
That's right.
That's
like that Shel Silverstein book or whatever, that book, The
Mhm.
Giving Tree.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
That concept.
Right. You're not giving for yourself.
Right.
You probably don't see. You may never see your good deeds and the impact of your good deeds. That doesn't mean you don't do them.
Exactly.
Have
You
a
don't
longer
plant the seed.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. A tree takes a long time to grow.
Long time. But once it's planted, once those roots are established, that bitch ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
And then you know what happens after you're dead and gone? You're still a stump.
Mm-hmm.
And then the stump is the legacy that you leave behind that forever your descendants will be able to sit upon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the metaphor with the giving tree is the
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yeah, and
Okay.
that's
Okay.
like even after the giving while the tree is alive, it
Mhm.
still continues to give after it's gone.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah, man. It's super wholesome. Man, I fucking love this episode so much, man.
One of the
really-
principles, one of the values that I learned about being back in Africa is like living forever.
Mm,
We understood immortality differently. It was like everybody wanted to live forever with the understanding that you live forever through your actions. And so you want to ensure that your actions are everlasting. All of the things that you do should be done in such a way that they are remembered for all time. And so that's why you see some of the longest, the oldest artifacts, human artifacts, are in Africa because of this principle of the things that you do lasting for eternity, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, as if it was just constructed recently. But that's that principle, you know. You live forever. You can be immortal through your actions.
Wow.
Yeah, good actions carry you for eternity. So that's kind of like what we do. You know what I mean? That's what we do.
Damn, bro. I mean, that's like a very good way to put it. I think that's like the theme of getting through things and doing things like that was a good way to wrap up the theme of this episode as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, man. Man, we gotta do like a part 2 at one point here.
Yeah, we gotta do part 2.
Because there's so many things moving forward. Because I know you have so many plans, and we didn't even get to touch on like ITTI or anything like that. And there's institutes that Evan's been working on for the past few years, and there's so many things that you're building for the school and for education in general across the world that it's just, I'm so excited to like be a part of, and like we helped you redesign the ITTI logo.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
Like,
yeah, we did some rebranding.
We did some rebranding for some. Man, this is we're making global impact, guys. We're making fucking international impact. This is what we do
on a multi-planetary podcast.
That's right. That's what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I do have to wrap it up before we run out of card space here. But is there any websites or anything that people can keep tabs on the African American Academy or the International Teachers Training Institute?
You can go to search us on Facebook. I think probably
Facebook.
right now is the most reliable place.
Would they type in Burkina Faso as well?
Yeah, African American Academy, Burkina Faso.
I'll put in links in the video here. So
Evan
is a pretty private dude. So if you want to try to follow him, I think he has his shit on private. But you could probably request him if you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
He'll probably do like a quick check on you, see if he, fucks with your vibe, and then he'll maybe accept your request. But it's at Evan Coleman on Instagram.
If you say you're a Martian, then
yeah.
I'll
If you say
accept it.
exactly. Yeah. Just DM him. Yo, I saw you on Mars. I'm a Martian too. Good to meet you, bro.
Yeah.
Yes. But thank you so much for coming on Mars. It's been a fucking
Thank you.
pleasure. My fellow Martians, please go follow at On Mars Pod, at Harry Mars _. Go follow Burkina Faso African American Academy. Follow Evan Coleman. We love you so much. We'll see you next time on Mars. Bye.
Thank you.
Peace. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars. Evan Coleman, episode 49, baby. Let's go. Oh yeah. Click. Sounds like a radio.
I don't listen to myself in headphones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of sick.
So
You got a good radio voice. Tuji panorama. Tuji panorama. Tuji panorama. So we're gonna do a little sobriety test for my guy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a timer. We're gonna take a stopwatch. I'm gonna show you guys what the stopwatch is at. But Evan is not gonna know what the stopwatch is at. I'm gonna have him count to 30 seconds in his head, and when he tells me to stop, I'm gonna hit stop, and we're gonna see in real time how sober this guy really is.
it's 30 seconds, right?
30 seconds.
Okay.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Mississippi. 30 seconds.
23.
Whoa!
All
Oh, no,
right, see.
I cannot operate a motor vehicle, bro. I'd have gone straight to jail.
Straight
Holy
to jail.
smokes!
30
Send me
seconds is
straight to
not-
jail. Holy shit, bro! I'm rushing.
I'm telling you.
Wow.
It's not easy. It's not easy, folks.
Yeah,
This is not an accurate representation.
Lock me up. I'm going to jail.
He's going to jail. All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
Brought me all the way here to bring me on the podcast.
Bring him in, boys.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like a sting operation.
This has been
my
a setup for the
God.
last 10 years.
You caught me. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. This goes since the day we met. I've been planning your
this.
sting. Yeah,
It's
crazy.
it's
That
going-
worked perfectly.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, cheers, brother.
Yeah.
Let's get it started, though.
Okay, let's get it. And I think just intuitively, I'll reach like this
With the right.
Yeah,
So it's like you have to
exactly.
cross over every time.
So it's not. Maybe just mention it to the. I
Well,
don't know.
mention it to the producers. Yeah, I'll mention it to the producers.
Mention it
Okay,
to
for
your
sure.
team.
Yeah.
Mention it to your team.
See if you can do
Fix
something about
this.
it.
Fix the problem. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Where they at? Where the thread at? I thread the needle. I'm in desert with the desert eagle. I keep a Nina on me. I ain't talking about a gun. Ain't talking about I never and if you want it, you had to get it. Damn, what was I about to say?
Tushi Panorama.